Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here then, hi! I'm going to use these things today and a few extras. Wood slice, waste clay, and I'm also going to be using some wood air dry clay that April sent me, and I agree with her completely. So here's the thank you to my members, my subscribers, my watchers, my likers and commenters. Those of you who watch all the way to the end, you are human beings of huge proportions, because that's what helps us out the most. Watching to the end gives us our time, which means we get paid by ads. And those that are new, who don't have the ads, it builds up their watch hours. So you are fantastic. And now enough with the prattle. I'm rolling this up, and I don't actually use it. I decide it's too pretty. Oh, me and that. Pretty. I'm a menace with anything that's pretty. I just can't seem to use it. I don't know why. So yeah, you see me faff with this for far too long, because I'm looking at it thinking, oh, that'd make something super nice. So I don't use it. I'm using some ordinary garden wire to make a teeny tiny fairy. But I've got to be really careful how big this teeny tiny fairy goes, because it has to fit inside that bottle. Now this bottle is a booth, the Booth of Awakening. You'll find out more in the story, because yes, I wrote a story again. And I was talking to Tracy the other day, and I've realised I do my stories so long-winded. I make so much work for myself, because I write it down in pencil first, then I try and decipher what I'm actually writing, because I do everything so fast. I write like my brain works. It's so fast, it's very illegible. There, I can't even say that word properly. And then what I do is I read it out to ChatGPT to put it in English, my English. Oh dear. No, not my English. In normal English. Mine's waffle speak. So it takes a while. No, I don't speak it in, I type it in. So I write it, I type it, that makes it more readable, and then I say it. So that's 4 lots of work there. I mean, that one piece is not mine. That's ChatGPT. I can never say that. Oh my word. But yeah, I do use AI, but only just to make it so I can read it, because I can't read my own writing. It kind of guesses what I'm missing out, which is good, because I need something to fill my brain in when I'm trying to speak. As you notice when I'm reading, my words don't always come out right. Yeah, I have to kind of wiggle the page. I was telling her as well, I have to wiggle the page so then it stops the jumping around, which makes no sense because I'm actually making it jump around. I know. Ignore me. It's how I struggle to read. I can read, don't get me wrong. I used to read like a sponge. But I don't know, it's suddenly I got to like 10 and everything was just like, nope, nope. And processing information just, struggle is. Struggle is. It's not even a word. So, this fairy, I'm now putting some polymer clay around her just for a base, because I'm going to add bits and bobs to her, but I need her to be a bit more stiff. Yeah, stiff. But I have to keep checking every now and again just to make sure she fits in. Now, this is no ordinary fairy. This fairy is, well, she ain't gonna look like a fairy when I've done with her. This fairy is a fairy with a twist. We are going to see her at her worst. We don't see the pretty, because we see her for her true self. As you will find out in the story, she's not what she appears. I'm using Super Sculpey Original. I love this stuff. It's my go-to clay for everything. It's soft on the hands, it's easy to work with. You can use it as your base, then you can add more on top. It's easy to paint. I just love it. And although my hands do ache after a bit after using it, it's not as much as like the Fimo I used the other day. Fimo, not Fimu. What's Fimu? Oy. I'm not very good at hands and feet. But because this fairy is captured and turns to stone, as you'll find out, I don't need to be. I really don't need to be. So I'm kind of cheating on this one. And yeah, I'm putting the detail in, little bits of detail in with the knife and cutting little bits out that I think is too much, because I do want her to still have like a feminine shape, even though she's not pretty in this. She's not a beautiful fairy, she's an ugly fairy. She's nasty. She revels in other people's misery. I'm telling you too many spoilers here. I'm so sorry. Right, these leaves, I've been drying them for a while because I was going to use them as something else. But I thought I need some wings, but I need tiny wings. And if you use resin on its own, it kind of just runs where it feels like it. But if you're putting it on top of something like a clear coat, then it stays put because of the surface tension. Now, I could have used the recess, but I didn't want to ruin the clay. So, I'm painting it on the leaves. And you just peel them off. You peel the leaves off and voila, you have a leaf print. But obviously I'm not using them as leaves, I'm using them as wings. But the same rule applies. It's quite nice. It was a bit tricky trying to get them on and get them to stay on. And I do overpour a little bit. But they still look okay. And I will be painting them so they won't be clear. And I'm going to be using like an iridescent. Now my mat is slightly damp, so it took me ages to pull that off. And I'm using the resin dual-sided UV lamp again. I must say I do love it. And somebody did ask me if I'm having to tighten the screws up. I wasn't after the first 2 uses. Now I am. But that's not really an issue. They sent you a screwdriver, so I can keep tightening it up. That's not a problem. And I am kind of heavy-handed, so when I push it down, I do push it down with some force, so it's partly my fault. But yeah, it does need tightening, which is fine. Now, I'm putting some of this Pearlex powder. Is it Pearlex powder? Yes, it is Pearlex powder. On the wings, just to give it a bit of iridescence. And then for some reason I decided to paint it anyway, so, you know, you do get to see a little bit of shine. And I don't know why I even bothered, because you can't really see the fairy inside for all the things I put on it. Yeah. I kind of got carried away. You really do have to look inside to see her. But she is supposed to be caged. Not caged. Trapped. And not be able to get out again. So it kind of works. And a couple of those leaves have broken, and I will use the other 2 in something. I won't just chuck them. Because I don't chuck stuff. Oh, tell a lie. I have just done my craft area again. I say done, I haven't finished. I've got so much to get rid of. And it's not craft stuff. It's stuff I've thought, I'll save that because then I'll use it. And I haven't. I'm trying to do the 3-month rule. If you've not seen it, touched it, smelt it, dealt with it, get rid of it. It's hard. You know, little pieces of plastic that I thought, oh, that'd make a nice window. Get it in the bin. It's not like I'm not going to get any more plastic. But it's hard. Because everything has a use. So yeah, these are my hands. Yeah, sausage hands. But I want it to look as though she's put her hands up against the glass. And I think it works. I did kind of lose a thumb there, or a finger. Not quite sure what it's supposed to be. But yeah, and she's wearing a dress. And her feet are like hooved feet. So there's only like a little line in between the toes. One line. So she's only got 2 toes, really. And I do make her hair sort of curl over a little bit more. Because it's like a hat. Hat hair. That makes no sense. But I am faffing with this face a lot. I'm trying to make it ugly as possible, but without losing features. And it is tiny. When I say tiny, she's as big as my thumb. She's a bit of a Thumbelina. But Thumbelina were nice. And this is not. And I'm still adding little bits of texture and detail to the head using the pointy stick end of my tool. You can use absolutely anything to get texture in your stuff. Just look around your house. Seriously. I've got a toothbrush I use with texture. I've got a straw that if I want to cut any holes that I don't have that size for. Sticks. Anything. I even made a couple of my own tools just to make patterns in clay out of air dry clay. Do I know where they are? Sort of. I'm trying to smooth this out now with my thumb, and this is where I need a little bit just for a belt. Because for some reason I decided she needed a belt. And I smooth it down and make it into more of the top of the skirt rather than a belt. But it works. And I put in the detail in with the pointy stick just to make it look like material. And now she looks like she's got a belly on her. Don't we all? You get to a certain age and your belly just goes, hi. Saying that, my belly's always been saying hi. Excuse me. I'm also now just putting in the wings. And once these are in the way I want them to be, because right now they're not, I thought I'd make it like butterfly wings to start. And I thought, well, I don't like that. And it wouldn't have fit inside the bottle. So I had to make it look as though they were sad. Depressed wings. I mean, she's unhappy because she's actually inside the whole, bottle. So I wanted the wings to reflect her mood. And I think that worked. So what I'm going to do is, once I've got this sorted, I shall bake her again, because you can put UV resin in. That's a trick that April said. You can put UV resin in your oven. Well, mine's a little mini oven. Thanks to everybody that sent me buying me coffees, because it's an absolute dream. It's right at the side of me. All I have to do is turn around, whap it in, leave it to do its do. I love it. So yes, she now fits inside the bottle. And I do put lights in this. But do I think about putting them in to start? No. I decide at the end. So yeah, more faffing. Ah dear. I wish I could plan and do things in an order that would work, but I don't. So if you're like me, don't beat yourself up about it. Just do how you do. Art is about having fun. Not about methods. Not about, should I do this, should I do that? Is this right, is this wrong? It's how you feel. If you think you like it, fantastic. If you don't, learn from it. Adapt. But never beat yourself up about the fact that you think something's awful and you've done it wrong because you've not used the right technique, or you're not painting it a certain way, or you're not using the right tools. Just go with the flow. Enjoy it. It's a time to relax, not stress. She says, who stresses a lot. But when I'm in the zone, this is my happy place. No people involved, just me and the art. It's great. So you're probably thinking, why am I painting it all black? I like black as a base coat because once you start putting other colours on top, you can see the detail more. I usually dry brush, but for this one I wanted it to kind of mix in with the black because I wanted several tones of stone, as though she just turned into stone. But I also add a little bit of iridescent purple, just because that's to show that the magic is disappearing. And I'm using my hand just to get some of that paint off. I usually use my mat, but it's a clean mat. So I didn't want to ruin it. Although I do get paint on it everywhere, so I don't know why I even bothered. But it's me, I'm messy. So purple iridescent paint on the wings, and I do put a couple of coats on there. And I do like this purple, it's so nice. It usually shows up better on a darker colour. And I will be adding purple and white to the bottom, because that will show that's where the power is draining out of her. Although there's still that little glimpse of power still there, that it will be contained inside the potion bottle, the booth. And I will also be making a tree stump to go underneath this, because like I said, I am adding lights to this, and I've done it all arse about face. Yeah, I know I just said that, and I'm so sorry. But it does work out, and I am able to hide most of the lighting with a little bit of moss, some twinkles, and a bit of paint, and still be able to switch it on, which is an enormous thing. So that's good. And them wings are really pretty. And I'm adding just a little bit of white, just to give that highlight of the actual fairy herself, just to make her look a bit more stone-like. I possibly could have done with putting a little bit of brown in there, but I didn't see that was necessary with her being inside. And she hasn't fully transformed into stone. This is midway through. So like her wings are still wings. There's still a bit of power left inside. Although it's draining, it's still just about there. This is just mid-capture, the point at where she screams. And again, still checking, it fits, and it does. Now this is a 3D pen, and I'm using filament from the 3D printer. This is the last bit on the roll that you can't actually make anything with because there's not enough, but it works an absolute treat on miniatures. I love it. And it's Tony's fault. I will put her link in the description. Totally her fault. I'd forgotten I'd got this, and she reminded me, and now I'm down a rabbit hole. More rabbit holes. And I'm using it to make like a vine cage, to make it look more potion bottle like. I put a lock on it, I put vines around it, I put a handle on it, and I've already made a butterfly that was my first practice piece, and I'm going to use that on this. and I incorporate that into the story as well. It is the kind of the last minute thing, because I just thought I got to use this butterfly. So it was like, brain, come on, add a butterfly. Where am I going to add this butterfly? So yes, this butterfly is going to be a guardian, and it's not going to be your bog standard butterfly, as in, you know, your red admirals or your cabbage whites, or there's probably a name for a cabbage white, but that's what we've always called it from kids. And just look at this. It's a dream. And because it's basically plastic, it sticks to plastic because it's warm. So I'm making a little cage like the top off a, I don't know, champagne bottle. You know, the wire cage thing. And I will make a lock, and I'm slowly building up to make a handle, as though you could just lift it up, because you've got to remember it's deep in the middle of the forest, but everything is small, and I have no idea why my light just flashed there. That is so weird. I do apologise about that. I need to figure out what happened there. Looked like somebody was taking a flash photography. But just look how this works. It's just brilliant. Yes, there are a lot of strings on it like a glue gun, but a pair of scissors sorts that right out. And I will add more to the bottom, like a little wire cage fencing type thing. And yeah, if you've ever looked at little I can never say this word, apothecary bottles, you know, the posh ones. It's a bit like that. Apothecary. I can only ever say that in slow motion. It's really odd. So it's supposed to look like that, and then I'm going to put a giant lock on it, and I'm going to build that up with a 3D print. And now this. Now April sent me this ages ago, and I've still not. This is the first time I've used it, and oh my god, she was right. This feels weird. It is funky weird. I don't like it. It's the wood das. No. I like the original das. This just feels wrong in my hands. And it doesn't feel as nice when you wash your hands after either. Because with the other das, it's like a moisturiser. My hands feel so soft afterwards. But this is a really weird texture. And I've got a thing about textures, which is weird. So yeah, I am a weird person. You'll have to excuse that. And I'm putting the lines in of the bark to try and match it up with the wood slice at the top, because that's supposed to be the top of the stump. Yeah. And I won't lie, I normally tell you leave it 3 days, but especially when it's this thick, to dry. I couldn't wait. I had to cheat, and I put it in my mini oven, very low, about 6 times, just to get it to be at a point where I could actually just paint it. It's still not quite dry, even though I've finished it, but needs must. Now, this paint, I usually use the gold one. I love the silver. The silver is just But look how it picks up on all the detail. Like, hindsight, I wish I'd have put a little bit of brown to this just to make it look a bit more rusty. I do add brown, but not enough, I don't think. And I'm going in on the little viney bits that's coming off. It's like, to me, it's like the poison dripping out of her. But crystallizing, solidifying, like lava. You know, that word. Is it just lava? No, there's another word for it. When the molten fire turns into that thing. Oh God. That's what's happening anyway. That's the evil inside her just being contained. because that's what the booth does. It contains the evil within and shows true form. The Sparkling Deceiver. The forest of Merwood was a sort of place that drew breath from its own mysteries. Towering trees arched like cathedral ceilings, their branches veined with silver moss that shimmered faintly in the dusk. Strange blossoms unfurled at night, dipping dew that smelled of honey and smoke. To most travellers, Merwood appeared enchanted, a sanctuary where lantern fireflies guided your path and the river laughed with music. But beneath its shimmering skin, danger coiled, patient and cunning, waiting to be unmasked. Among the many creatures who dwelt in its glades, the fairies were the most admired. Wrapped in sparkles, dancing in colours, no mortal brush could capture. They flitted through the twilight with laughter. Among the many creatures who dwelt in its glades, the fairies were the most admired. Wrapped in sparkles, dancing in colours, no mortal brush could capture. They flitted through the twilight with laughter, like silver bells. Children wished for glimpses of them. Poets wrote sonnets in their honour, and even hardened woodsmen lowered their voices when speaking of them. Yet not all beauty was kindness, and not all laughter was joy. There was one in particular, known only as Solaria, whose loveliness defied words. Her wings shimmered with hues of sunrise and moonlight, her eyes reflected innocence, and her presence could still the air with wonder. But within her chest did not beat a heart of compassion. Instead, envy and malice coiled tight. She thrived on strife, setting friend against friend, lover against lover, sowing small seeds of discord until they bloomed into rage. And while they fought, Solaria would steal what they treasured most: a pendant, a lock of hair, a charm, a secret. Always she sat apart, smiling sweetly as chaos erupted, glee burning bright behind her flawless mask. Few ever suspected her. Who could blame the radiant fairy with laughter like water? Her beauty was her armour, her gentle demeanour was her cloak. None dared doubt her, for to do so would be to question enchantment itself. Yet mirrors told truths that eyes alone could not. It began one autumn dusk, when two friends, Elowen and Corin, lingered by the river bank. The girl, Elowen, was bold, with hair the colour of fire, touched leaves, and a spirit to match. Corin was quieter, thoughtful, with hands always busy carving shapes of birds and beasts from driftwood. They had been inseparable since childhood, their bond as steady as the river's current. But of late, Solaria's visits had unsettled them. The fairy's charm seemed to twist their words, turn their laughter sharp, and spark quarrels that left them bitter. That night, as Solaria perched on a rock, coaxing them into yet another argument, Corin caught sight of her in the darkened waters. The reflection staring back was not the radiant fairy, but a creature with eyes black as pitch, wings tattered like cobwebs, and a mouth carved in a cruel sneer. His blood froze. "Elowen," he whispered, tugging her sleeve. "Look, but look in the river." And she did. For the first time, Elowen saw past the sparkle. Her breath caught, fury sparking in her chest. The creature that had plagued them, stolen their peace, was no angel of beauty. It was a deceiver. From that moment the friends plotted. They whispered by moonlight, gathering lore from old songs and forgotten tales. They learned of the Booth of Awakening, an ancient shrine said to reveal truth, true natures, and hold them fast. It was hidden deep in the forest, behind thickets that bled thorns and marshes that swallowed light. To reach it would mean peril, but they were absolute. The journey was treacherous. Through the gloom of Merwood they pressed on. The trees grew closer together the deeper they went. Their trunks gnarled like clenched fists. Eyes gleamed from hollows. Shadows slithered across their path. And once a chorus of whispers rose from the brambles, urging them to turn back. But it was the thought of Solaria's smirk, of her delight in their pain, that drove them onwards. At last, in a clearing lit by a single shaft of moonlight, they found it. The Booth of Awakening. It was no booth in mortal terms, but what looked like a potion bottle, draped with vines, beneath which stood a mirror framed in roots that pulsed faintly, as if it alive. Legend said that the booth did not merely reveal truth, it bound it. Any creature shown its true reflection would be trapped, if so condemned. Now came the hardest part. Luring Solaria. They returned to the riverbank where she often played her games. Aloan feigned jealousy, clutching a trinket Corin had carved for her, while Corin pretended bitterness. Their raised voices caught Solaria's attention at once. She fluttered closer, her smile all honey, her words dripping with false concern, feeding the fire. When she believed them thoroughly ensnared, they cried out together, "If you care for us, come help us make peace." Curious and smug, Solaria followed them into the woods. The path twisted and darkened, but she did not falter. She was certain of her charm, certain that they were too simple to deceive her. At last they reached the clearing, and Aloan gestured towards the bottle. "Stand with us," she said, her voice trembling, with just enough sincerity to mask the trap. "Let us be reflected together as friends." Solaria, arrogant in her beauty, stepped forward. She gazed into the mirror. The scream that followed split the night. The mirror reflected not the sparkling fairy, but her true form. Grotesque wings, ragged, teeth sharp as needles, her skin crawling with shadows. The booth's vines writhed across, curling round her limbs. Pulling her closer, her eyes went wide with terror. Her pleas shifted from honeyed to venomous, cursing the friends, shrieking promises of vengeance. But the booth held fast. Her body stiffened, her glow shattering into shards of stone. When last echo faded, there stood only a statue of her true self, dark, twisted, hideous, trapped inside the bottle. The forest grew quieter, as though exhaling relief. No longer would Solaria wreak havoc. Her malice was bound forever. Aloan and Corin stared, hearts pounding, relief mingled with sorrow, for the statue seemed still alive, straining against its prison. But the tales were true. The Booth of Awakening did not merely bind, it petrified. Solaria was locked away, her mask gone, her wickedness on display for all time. As they turned to leave, a butterfly fluttered down from the shadows. Its wings were vast and painted with midnight and silver. It alighted on top of the booth, resting with regal calm, and in their hearts the friends knew this was no ordinary butterfly. It was a guardian sent by the forest itself to watch, to ensure Solaria never escaped. Her prison was eternal, and her truth forever exposed. The two friends returned to the gentler paths of Merwood, their bond stronger than before, and behind them in the clearing, the butterfly remained unmoving, a silent sentinel on its throne of stone. And so it is said, even now, that in Merwood's heart lies the statue of the deceiver fairy, guarded by wings of night and dawn, a warning to all who mistake beauty for goodness. So what did you think to the story? The moral of that was you can't trust those who appear too good. There's always some sort of hidden agenda. Go with your gut. If your gut tells something smells fishy, it smells fishy. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe a little bit darker. Has it put you off fairies for life? Do you believe in fairies? I would love to believe in fairies. The good ones, anyway. I'd like to live in fairyland. In fact, I think I do half the time. Oh dear. But yeah, I went down a complete rabbit hole with this 3D pen. I am so enjoying it, and it means I got to have no more waste 3D filament. You know, that last little bit that comes off the roll that's not going to actually make anything. I can now put it in the pen. Why did I not use this before now? It's just been sat in a drawer. Thank you, Tony, for doing this, because I would have forgotten I'd even got it. So I'm going to titivate this a little bit more, and you'll see it in the photos. I'm going to put some bits and bobs around it and make it all pretty and clean it up a bit. I hope you liked what you saw. Leave me a comment, tell me what you think, and I'll leave you with the photos. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!